This is my friend Lauren and my friend Carrie. We're here because we're concerned about reproductive justice as opposed to the pro-choice movement. So first, what's the problem with the pro-choice movement? The idea of choice marginalizes poor women, women of color, women with disabilities, and immigrant women because, as Ricky Solinger states, choice is connected to possession of resources, thus creating a hierarchy among women based on who is capable of making legitimate choices. Communities of color are rightfully wary of the pro-choice movement because of its ties to eugenics. The founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger herself, was a renowned eugenicist. Eugenicism is a pseudoscientific practice that attempts to breed people with favorable human traits in order to create a superior race. This practice has often targeted communities of color from reproduction through the use of sterilization and other insidious methods of population control. Eugenics can be applied beyond hereditary traits to control social ills. Dorothy Roberts points out that criminalization of women of color who are drug addicts plays into the white supremacist agenda, which blames these women for perpetuating poverty and deems these women responsible for the social ills of their race. This belief leads to suggestions of sterilization of women of color who are drug addicts. The pro-choice movement also unquestionably supports capitalist notions in terms of choice. Not only does choice marginalize poor women of color, but it also supports the stance that a woman can choose any type of contraceptive that is out on the market regardless of the medical danger associated with these contraceptives. And now, my friend Lauren is going to talk about how much closer the pro-choice and pro-life stances are to each other than one would expect.
As Margaret Little points out, the pro-choice and pro-life arguments are not so different from each other. They share two commonalities. Both stances find that abortion should be outlawed if the fetus is found to be a person, and both stances ignore the rights of mothers as superseding the rights of the fetus, regardless of whether it is considered a life or not. Andrea Smith also explores the commonalities between the two. She states, the major flaw in the pro-life position is not so much that the fetus is alive, but its assumption that because the fetus is alive, abortion should be criminalized. The pro-choice movement also follows this logic as stated by the president of Planned Parenthood, who agrees that if the fetus is alive, then abortion should be criminalized, which results with a matter of semantics rather than reaching the root of the issue. In regards to Planned Parenthood's attempt to help communities of color through family planning services, Smith states, of course Planned Parenthood provides valuable family planning resources, but it does so through a population framework that inevitably shifts the focus from family planning as a right in and of itself to family planning as an instrument of population control. Both stances support the prison-industrial complex, and as Smith points out, the criminal justice system itself is not meant to rehabilitate criminals, but rather to control the population of communities of color. Because both stances isolate women of color by means of population control, it is absolutely necessary for a shift in the conversation to include all people and to get to the root of the problem. And now Carrie is going to shed some more light on how reproductive justice framework allows for the root of the problem.
So the reproductive justice framework goes beyond the pro-choice, pro-life conversation. Reproductive justice allows for issues of abortion to be advocated, but it goes beyond that. As Loretta Ross from Sister Song Organization states, reproductive justice is the right to have a child, the right to not have a child, and the right to raise that child. This would call for an intersectional approach, which would advocate for welfare, healthcare, immigration rights, and reproductive rights, because these are all issues that go into being able to control one's life. Reproductive justice also is a call to action, to enact justice by opposing police brutality, the prison-industrial complex, and other institutionalized forms of racism, sexism, and classism. By using this framework, we can begin to truly advocate for issues that affect all women and our allies. If you'd like more information on how you can become active, check out the following links.
So if we leave you with one thing,
Think radical!